Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we're bringing in Ben Myers. Ben, thank you so much for being here. How you doing today?
Howdy, I'm doing well. I'm super excited for this. Always love talking about accessibility, and I'm a big fan of the show. So,
Thank you so
two
much.
two things I like very much.
Yeah, and you are a fellow streamer. You stream at Some Antics Dev. I should shout that out. We'll drop that a
Yeah.
couple times. Um, Wait, do you stream? You stream under Some Antics?
Yeah, some antics dev,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, because someone took some antics. Always the pain point. Yeah, I it's a weekly stream, Tuesdays 12 to 1 Central, where I usually focus on accessibility and other aspects of core web technologies. So less cutting edge, jam stacky stuff and more just the fundamentals, basics of getting an accessible site out there. Fun
Yeah,
time.
yeah, for sure. Well, cool. So for folks who aren't familiar with you outside of your blog, do you want to talk a little bit about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, I'm Ben. I am a front end developer at USAA, working on the bank side, and I'm a big accessibility advocate as well, both inside and outside of work. So, I blog about accessibility at benmyers.dev. We've talked a bit about the Some Antics stream. Yeah, you'll just generally find me around, really excited where all the accessibility stuff is. You'll find me there. Yeah, that's basically me.
Very
If
cool.
there's accessibility stuff, it's the bat signal for me.
I like that. So let's talk a little bit about specifically today. We're going to try to
Mhm.
tackle something that I'll be honest, kind of surprised me, which is you said that we're going to learn how we can use CSS to
Yeah.
improve screen reader experiences. And so this surprised me for a couple reasons, and I'm going to assume. Well, actually, I'm going to caveat this by saying I'm pretty sure it's because I've made some incorrect assumptions here.
Mhm.
And so one of the assumption that I had made is that CSS doesn't affect screen readers because CSS is visual, and I think I'm wrong.
So you're walking into exactly the same assumptions I made. And so
Okay.
part of what we're going to get to later is I'm going to show you some demos that took that mental model that I had, that you have, and just warped it beyond recognition.
Hmm.
Just absolutely shattered it. But yeah, this is so I know that many people come to web development through many different paths. The first time I really started learning it was I took a class in college that focused on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript with a helping of jQuery.
Hmm.
Not that jQuery was even relevant then, as like I don't know, it was starting to be on its way out. But
Hmm.
when I was going through that, like I took this class, and one of the things they hammered home is this theme of like separation of content and presentation. And that was the
Hmm.
big thing with HTML5, right? We're going to take out tags like center and stuff like that, things that are
Right.
purely presentational. And that way you can think of like HTML as your content, your structure, and your semantics. It's like the foundation of all of this. And then there's your CSS, which can be the presentation, right? And never the twain shall meet. Um,
Never.
Never, right? And so then you get into like accessibility and you start playing around with screen readers,
Hmm.
which, by the way, that word is murder for me to pronounce. I'm an accessibility advocate and I cannot say screen reader to save my life. Um, but you get into screen readers and you develop this intuition that, like, oh, they're all purely content and semantics, right? So therefore, thank you, Jimena.
Thank
I
you,
had to get to
Humana.
that before Jason did. But yeah, therefore, like, if CSS is pure presentation and screen readers only care about the content, right, they shall never meet. And so that's why I find this really surprising. And I'm really excited to dive into this today.
Yeah, just kind of thinking about it from the standpoint of like what are the parts of CSS that affect screen readers? So I have a couple
Yeah.
theories off the bat. The
Okay.
first one is I think the display property is going to affect a screen reader.
hmm
So if
That's
I set
that's
it to
definitely one of
display
them.
none, it won't get read.
Yes, and that's actually the first thing that we're going to see,
Excellent.
because
Okay.
it's led to some accessibility workarounds. Like we'll see the visually hidden utility class. But
Hmm.
yeah, so that's one of them. We're going to see that it's all precipitated on this notion that like CSS sometimes is content. as much as we say otherwise, CSS is content sometimes. And as such, it impacts sighted users' experiences of what the content even is, and therefore it should also impact screen reader users' experiences of what the content is. So yeah. And also, before we dive into that, like we're gonna like just kind of this caveat of like everything that we see today is not a bug. Everything that we see today is totally intentional, even if it's unintuitive to developers such as us. So yeah, that's kind of what to look forward to is when CSS impacts content in some way, how does that in turn impact the screen reader experience?
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, I think instead of talking about it in the abstract, maybe we should just start looking at some code, right? So why don't we go ahead and flip over to the pair programming view, and we will start by doing a quick shout out. This episode, like all of our episodes, is being live captioned. We've got Amanda with us here today, writing down all the junk I say and all the smart things Ben says. Thank you so much, Amanda. And that's through White Coat Captioning, who's with us every stream. That's made possible through the support of our sponsors, Netlify, Fauna, Auth0, and Hasura, all of whom are kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people, which means a lot to me. We are talking to Ben today. As we said, make sure you go and follow Ben on the Twitter. Do a little tweet, get those things going. And as we mentioned already, you can find Ben on Twitch as well as Some Antics Dev. Okay, so Ben, if we want to get started here, kind of what's our first step? How do we even like get a frame of reference for what we're trying to do?
Absolutely. I realized that going in guns a-blazing saying like, hey, CSS can impact your screen reader experience is going to be terrifying, frankly, horrifying, especially if you aren't familiar with screen readers. So I thought we could spend some time just basically playing around with screen readers, getting familiarity with the basic experience that we might expect for them, how we can navigate using screen readers, and then we can dive into how we can actually like change the experience using CSS.
Nice.
So you're on a Mac, so we'll be using VoiceOver today.
Yes.
However, and while VoiceOver is the screen reader I'm most familiar with as well, the things that we're talking about, even if every screen reader has like different keyboard shortcuts and stuff for that, everything here is still going to be broadly transferable between different screen readers. So whether you're using VoiceOver or JAWS or NVDA or TalkBack or God, there's so many. Orca, is that one? It might be one.
Three truths and a lie is what we're playing right now.
Yeah. Oh man. You always have to wonder how they decide to name their screen readers. Like VoiceOver, okay, I get it, right? Like TalkBack, sure, that's fine. JAWS seems like you kind of you're a little into the shark aesthetic, perhaps. So yeah, so we're gonna use VoiceOver today, and I want to walk you through some of the basic interaction modes using VoiceOver. And before I show you how to start VoiceOver, I'd like to tell you how to turn off VoiceOver. I'd like to give you an escape hatch because I've like introduced enough people to screen readers that like the moment their computer starts yammering at them, right? It's like, oh God, panic. How do I turn this off? How do I turn this off? So I like to give you your escape hatches. Okay. So VoiceOver pops up, not all screen readers do this, but VoiceOver pops up with this little dialog box that reads out the words that it's saying aloud. And in the top left corner of that box, you're going to see a small white X. It looks decorative. It's not actually decorative. It's a turn off button. And so that's the easiest way I found to turn it off. Yeah, and there is an option to pause the announcement at any moment, which is Control. So these two keys, okay, these two things are our escape hatch. So yeah, let's go ahead and now I guess turn on VoiceOver. There's several ways to do this. The one that I find most memorable is going into your accessibility settings. So I usually like open up the spotlight and search for accessibility.
Can I move this over? Is this going to move for me? Let's see. Here it is. Okay. So cool. I'm going to go to accessibility.
Yep. And there's this option in the left called VoiceOver. And there's a checkbox. You're going to turn this on, and because we're streaming, it's going to take a while to think. I've learned this. It takes a while whenever you're streaming, but at some point, it's going to start yelling at us.
Okay. And while we're waiting for that to think, I'm going to do a couple shout outs. Thank you, Prismic, for the raid. Welcome, everybody. I hope you had a good stream. And Nikki, I'm proud of you for getting the pun. He just figured out that some antics was a pun of semantics.
So this is one of those things. I am a pun-driven developer. The moment I come up with a punny name for something, that's when it has to become reality. So I came up with the name semantics before I came up with the idea to stream. And then I was like, God, I need to do something with this. I guess I'll start streaming.
I love it. Kindred spirits. I am very pun-driven in my development. Yeah, let's see. What else happened in the
accessibility
chat?
Window.
Hey!
Accessibility features table. Voiceover. Selected as keyboard focus. You are currently on a table. To enter this table, press Control, Option, Shift, down arrow.
So left to its own devices, it's just going to talk a lot. And I've done enough streams with VoiceOver to learn that you need to be really quick on the control trigger to just get it to pause. Okay. Because otherwise you can't hear either of us. So all right, we turned on VoiceOver. You can see that there's a small little X in the top left.
This is my escape hatch.
That's your panic button. Yes, that's your escape hatch. So cool. Now that we've got that, let's go ahead and go. We're gonna just kind of peruse the Learn with Jason site using
Microsoft Edge. Learn with Jason. Learn something new in 90 minutes. Microsoft Edge. Personal.
There we go. That was control. There we go. So, all right. So the first thing to show off is going to be fairly straightforward and intuitive for most developers, which is that we are very used to tabbing, right? This is something that is like, many of us are power users of technology. Tabbing is something we're used to. So tabbing will take you from interactive element to interactive element. So these are usually links, buttons, and form fields. There's probably other exceptions, but those are the main things. So you can tab forward using tab, and then you can go back.
Leaving Learn with Jason. Learn something new in 90 minutes.
Wait, where am I going? Where am I leaving to, computer?
It is. So it was, I believe, actually on the tab, like the browser tab.
Okay.
One of the things I find helpful is just to prime VoiceOver by clicking in the browser window, which is a little cheating perhaps, but I don't know. It's quicker. It's easier. So
Visited,
just click in the browser window.
About, navigation, Microsoft Edge has a new window. You are currently on a link. Science Studio, black rectangle.
Oh, it's reading my chat. That's gonna be fun. Okay.
Is it? Oh man. Yeah. Wow. That's a fun one. That's a fun one. Okay. So if you just kind of tab through a couple times, we'll see
Visited
some
link.
interactive
Learn
stuff.
with Jason on Twitch. Visited link. Jason Langsdorff on YouTube. Visited link. Learn with Jason on Twitter.
That's these here.
You are currently on a link. Leaving Learn with link. Langsdorff. You are currently on a link. Inside link. Top shows and podcasts.
It's reading this.
You are currently on a link inside of a frame. To click R and throw. Selected. You are currently on a heading level 2.
No.
Microsoft Edge has a new window.
I did it bad. Look.
Link.
No, you highlighted
A single
the text
spooky dig
inside
with Link
Learn
Fisher.
From.
Navigation. You are currently on a link. To
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it's doing things. It's showing me what's going on, and that one was actually useful, that makes me feel better.
Yeah. It's fun stuff. So tabbing is very intuitive for us as developers. This is, oftentimes how we navigate the web. However, it is the least commonly used navigation mode for assistive technologies. Because it's really only for the interactive stuff, only for links, buttons, and other stuff. You notice we completely skipped over the text learned from brilliant teachers, including we skipped over the live captioning by, etc. We skipped over anything static. We would have skipped over any images that aren't inside links, stuff like that, right? So if tabbing were the only mechanism that we had, we would miss out on a lot of content.
Right.
But I highlight this because I've sometimes introduced people to Screenreaders, and then they've come back a few months later, and they've been so panic, we can't get to any of our paragraphs. We're trying to tab to it, and we can't get to any of them.
Oh yeah. No, you know what? That's a good thing I hadn't really considered that, but I would have done that. That absolutely would have been me.
Yeah. And because of the mental models that we built up on this, we build up this notion of keyboard navigation means hitting the tab button, right? And so if we can't get to something, we assume something must be broken, right? And not we're using an inaccurate navigation mode.
Sure.
So tabbing is useful, but it's not the only way to navigate. And in fact, we're going to want to also get our static content like that. That's especially important on like a blog post, right? Where there's very few links and very much text. So if tabbing is the first navigation mode in Screenreaders to know, the second one is going to be what we call the virtual cursor, and this is going to take you to everything. Would you mind clicking in where, for instance, where it says like interactive SVG animations?
Loading page.
Clicking there.
Leaving interactive SVG animations
I
using.
did not realize that was a link.
Microsoft Edge has a new window.
Okay, what new window do you have? You don't have a new window.
You went to a new page.
Oh, that's what that means. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you're good. So, all right. So we're going to use the virtual cursor. Okay. And to do this, you're going to need to use 3 keys at once. So I hope your keyboard hands are ready. And these are going to be you're going to hold down Control and Option, and then you're going to use the left and right arrow keys.
Interactive SVG animations using green sock middle dot learn with JSON web.
So sometimes I find it helpful just to click somewhere in the window, and then that usually gets me on
interactive SVG animations using green SVG animations using green sock selected. You are currently on a heading level 1.
Okay. And so now
we should be able. There we go.
Link Cassie Evans. Animated SVGs add a touch of interactive whimsy and polish to our websites. In this episode, Cassie Evans will teach us how to use GreenSock to create fun, engaging experiences. You are currently on a text element. Microsoft Edge has a new window.
That's great. Yeah. Microsoft Edge, you got a lot of new windows. You gotta calm it on down.
Who knows? Microsoft Edge does as Microsoft Edge does. And so this virtual cursor that we've seen here, this takes us to everything: static elements, dynamic elements, stuff like that. So you could keep going. You could go to the demo link. You could go to the source code.
Visited link. Source code. Heading level 2. Resources and links. List 12 items. You are currently in a list.
Ooh, we're in a list. Okay, so let's navigate through the list. So it told us how many items were in the list. That's gonna be relevant later. So it told us hey, you're at a list. There are 12 items in this list. Let's go ahead and keep using the virtual cursor. So Control
link.
Option right.
https://smash.
Oh, need to make my links better.
Yep. That would totally be more helpful in this case, right? Because this is a very long link. But if you keep going and if you linger on a link for long enough, it should, I think, tell you which list item you're on. So it'll say 1 of 12.
Let's see if we can find one that's a little shorter.
Visited link. https://www.learnwithjason.dev/make-animations-field-pro 3 of 12. You are currently on a link. To click this link, press Control Option.
So using the virtual cursor, this is the superpower of Screenreaders, right?
Yeah.
This is actually how you get to all the things, but super manual, right? You're having to click a whole bunch, and if there's a whole bunch of nodes and stuff in there, it can be a bit of a hassle, right? What if we just want to start reading and just have it keep automatically reading from there? Well, for this, we're going to use continuous reading mode. And before we do this, remember that your escape hatch is hitting Control.
Yes. And let's go to a blog or something, so that, or maybe the about page.
Loading about Learn with JSON web content. You are currently on a web content in how it works selected.
Right.
You are currently on a heading level 2.
There we go. To activate continuous reading mode, you're going to do Control Option A.
Heading level 2, how it works. Twice a week, we get a live lesson from an expert and follow along as Jason learns a new technology, skill, concept, or visited link. Something completely different in 90 minutes or less. We start from scratch whenever possible, so there's no magic, no assumed knowledge, and no surprises. Learn with Jason Go.
So this is fun. I like this. And I'm noticing that it's skipping, it's calling out some markup like a link, but it's skipping an emphasis tag.
Yeah, so they're when you're in continuous reading mode, the idea is you're just trying to get through the content as fast as possible. So your screen reader will often remove a lot of the more crusty explanations of things because it's just trying to get you through the content as fast as it can. Also worth calling out that most screen reader users who like use it full time. So like most blind people or low vision people, or even many dyslexic people who use screen readers will have it go much faster than we're having it go today.
Yes. So if you want
How
to
it
see
works.
that,
Opening new candidate list shown.
let's
Command L. You are currently on a text field inside of System Preferences. Voiceover off.
just for a minute. Let's go find Leonie Watson.
Yes.
So Leonie Watson is an incredible speaker, and she does a lot of stuff with, let's see, does she have talks? Get a talk where, oh no, are they gone? Oh no, okay. So let's go to YouTube and we'll find a Leonie Watson talk. When she runs her screen reader, it is the fastest thing I have ever seen.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember which one. Taking on a voice of its own. Is this going to be a screenshot or a screen reader?
Loop. So we've had a
Hi there.
I'm going to assume that this is one that so that we don't spend the whole time watching one of her talks. Well, it would be a great use of our time actually to watch a Leonie Watson talk. You go check out her stuff. You will see, first of all, she's a brilliant speaker and you're going to learn a lot. Second of all, you will see how somebody who actually uses screen readers screen readers, because that's how she navigates. It is very different from what I'm doing by futzing around today.
Voiceover on System Preferences. Accessibility window. Accessibility features.
Oh, we killed Chrome. Sorry, Edge. We killed Edge.
Microsoft Edge. About Learn with Jason. How it work. Selected.
How
You
it
are currently
works.
on a heading level.
So just as you use Control Option right arrow to go forward with the virtual cursor, you can also use Control Option left arrow to go backwards with the virtual
End of list.
cursor.
Heading level 2 items.
Great. Yeah.
So, but there's still more that we can do. And I'd love to take some time to introduce you to one of the like power user features of screen readers. One of the things that I don't see come up a whole lot in testing, but I think is absolutely fantastic. So every screen reader, told you I couldn't say it. Every screen reader provides a different way to navigate between elements of the same type. So go from links to links to links, or buttons to buttons to
Ooh,
buttons, or
okay,
headings to
okay.
headings to headings, or tables to tables to tables.
And headings is really the thing that I'm interested in here, right? Because I can imagine if I'm on a page, the way that I read content as a sighted user is I skim headings and then I find the one I'm interested in and then I read that content.
Yes. Yeah. But if you're using a screen reader and you're using like the virtual cursor, right? You don't have that skimming option with just the virtual cursor. You have to get through all the content before you can decide that this is the content you care about. Right. So headings in particular, yes, this is huge for. So if you're using JAWS has just a whole bunch of keyboard shortcuts that you just have to remember. I don't remember them, but I really love how VoiceOver implements this, which is a feature called the Rotor. And to open the Rotor, we're going to do Control Option U.
Links menu.
Ooh.
Okay. So you can now go up, like thumb up and down, like with your arrow keys. You can go to all
14
the
items.
links.
Link. Skip to content. Visited. Link. Home. Visited. Link. Episode. Visited. Link. Schedule. Visited. Link. Jason Langsdorf. Visited. Link. Watch live on Twitch.
Okay.
So when you find a link that you want, you can just hit enter, and now you'll be focused on that.
Okay. Let's go.
Link. Visited. Link. Source code. Microsoft Edge has a new window.
So it
You are
popped right
currently on a
open.
link. To click this link, press.
Okay.
All right. But, that was just links. There's other Rotor menus. So if you open the Rotor back up, Control Option U,
Links menu.
and now you use the left and right arrow keys.
Headings menu.
There we go.
Heading
And look
level
at
1.
this.
About Learn with Jason. Heading level 2 items. Get involved.
Nice.
So you know a thing or two about the markup that you've written for the site. What are you noticing about how that markup's translated to the headings menu here?
I like that it's showing like level 2, so it's showing me kind of importance. I
Heading
can
level
see,
1. About Learn with Jason.
hey, that's the name of the page. Now
Heading
I've
level
got
2 items.
a
Get
section.
involved.
Two items in that section. That's cool.
Heading level 2 items. How it works. Heading level 2 items. Stay up to date.
So we talk about how
Heading
headings,
level
your
2 item.
H1 through your H1 through H6 tags, how they form kind of a document outline for assistive technology users, right? That's how we just saw that in action. Like that's what it's doing. That's what it's exposing there. And I think that's really neat. So yeah, I love the rotor. I think it's a super cool feature. And it's one that you absolutely have to validate for because it introduces new levels of complexity. Like for instance, we just saw how with the links menu, all of our links were taken totally out of context.
Yes,
And
this is
Headings
actually
menu. Links menu.
this is like I can see why you wouldn't want to link here or this because
Yes.
it doesn't make any sense.
Click here or read more. Yeah, those links can totally be taken out of context. It is a totally valid navigation experience to hop directly to a link without seeing any of its surrounding
How it
text.
work. Unselected.
Ooh. So
yeah.
actually, let's go to the blog.
Visited link. Blog.
And then let's
links
see how
menu.
fast I can-
Visited link. Visited link. Blog.
Oh, I need to actually
Visited
click
link.
it. I do.
Blog. You are currently on a link.
Control Option
To click
space.
loading. Learn with Jason. Learn something new in 90. Links menu. Link. Use heading level 2. Use promise.all to stop loading. Use promise.all to stop async/await from block. Links menu. Headings menu. Links menu.
So
You
how
are currently
badly
in the
did I
voiceover
do
menu.
on this?
This is a list of voiceover menu options. To navigate up and down the list, closing links menu. Use promise.links menu. You are currently in the voiceover menu. This is a list of voiceover menu options.
I
To
did
navigate up and
okay.
down the list,
Yeah, you did all right.
I was really worried there's going to be a lot of like this and here and
Yeah,
but I can already see why this is important, right? Like
Yeah.
this is but also I'm seeing how that doesn't really make sense as a link.
Well, I mean, yeah, but also it maybe could, right? Because like I presume if I click, I think you were focusing on the like promise one or whatever. I can presume I would learn more about promises there.
Sure.
But where this matters, especially is like on your homepage, you have a whole bunch of like links that are like episodes, resources, and transcripts, right? And so that means that your homepage, if you don't provide any other context, is just
use
a wall
promise.alt.
of,
Loading page. Microsoft Edge has a new window.
a wall of identical links, right? Or maybe it's like your schedule link or something like that. But yeah, so
Oh, you're
this
right.
is-
It does.
yeah.
Wait, did I make this better? I feel like
Loading page. Loading complete.
did you fix this for me? I think you fixed this
I
for
might
me.
have fixed that for you. Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at this and see what's wrong.
Mhm.
Episode details.
Microsoft Edge has a new
This
window.
is not great, right? Like this would be super unintuitive. But because Ben took pity on me and
Links
opened a
menu.
pull request,
Look
at it.
Link. Episode details for better screenreader experiences with CSS.
so Ben opened a PR that added extra details so that there is an actual setup here.
Yes.
Like you can see what these links are, despite the fact that visually they're not there. What button did I just push?
I don't
Upcoming
know,
learn with
Screenreader
Jason Epic
Experiences.
voiceover off.
And so I want to look at the source on this real quick because I forget
me
how you
too.
did it.
I either did that with hidden text or ARIA labels. Let's find out. I did it with hidden text. Okay. So there's an extra span in there that's like some hidden text that has the name of the episode in there. We're getting drowned. It's a dream come true, Jason.
Welcome, Cassidy. I see you are here. Farshid, how to do which piece? The hidden text or the...
Yeah. So the idea is it's all done with the markup, right? So the link has a node that says episode details, and then it has an extra node in there that's hidden from sighted users, but not hidden from screen reader users. That says for and then the episode title. And so that's how I added extra content to your links, so that every link would actually be unique and be very clear about the. God, we're getting so drowned.
I know,
Be very
I
clear
know.
about the intent of the link. This is excellent.
Well, this is also going to make us prove that the screen reader is usable, right?
Yeah, there we go. This is the test right here, right? Is if screen readers work, then we can be drowned in boops all you need, because you're going to get a completely equivalent aural experience.
Yes. So we can head over here. We've got it on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to open
Busy.
up. Oh, you're busy. All right, voiceover. I'll come back later.
Voiceover on Microsoft Edge. Upcoming learn with Jason. Links menu. Visited link. Better Screenreader headings menu. Heading level 3. Better Screenreader Experiences with CSS. Heading level 3. JavaScript autocomplete. Heading level 3. GitHub Actions with forked PRs.
Let's check that one.
Heading level 3. GitHub Actions with forked PRs. What's new in GitHub Actions? Brian Douglas will teach us all about fine-grained permissions in Actions, GitHub Cloud Environment Management, dependent jobs in Actions. Your current link. Episode details for GitHub Actions with forked PRs. Microsoft Edge. Loading page. Loading complete.
We did it.
We did it.
We just navigated a page. We couldn't see a dang thing. I was underwater in Boops the whole time.
The whole time. Yeah. So we've seen now different ways you can navigate with a screen reader, right? We saw how we could tab to get to all of our interactive stuff. And if it's interactive with the mouse, it should be interactive with the keyboard. Just a little tip there. And so we were able to tab. We were able to manipulate the virtual cursor. And we also were able to start continuous reading so that we didn't have to manipulate the virtual cursor on our own. And finally, we saw how we could go from element to element of the same type using the rotor. So those are the main navigation modes that I usually use when I'm doing screen reader testing. That just work?
Yeah. And that's outstanding. Like it, like I can see how this, like I didn't feel like I wasn't able to do anything. And, there's a bunch of stuff that I don't know how to do because I haven't learned the tool. But I can see like when you watch somebody like Leonie Watson, she's using that screen reader faster than I use my eyes. Like she's so fast at navigating everything, right? She's so fast. So it's, it really is, it's not like a different version of the web. It's the same web, just presented in a different way.
Absolutely. Cool. So yeah, that is the just general friendly introduction to screen readers. We saw kind of the different navigation modes. Jason, if you don't mind, I'd like to do some hijinks.
I'm so ready for hijinks.
Let's do it. Let's do some hijinks. Okay. So as you
somebody
see,
clip that. I need that to be a sound effect on this. I'd like to do some hijinks.
There we go.
It's so good.
Yes. All right. So if we're looking down and to the left of me, you can see that the title of this episode is Better Screen Readers with CSS. And thus far, we have not done CSS. So let's go ahead and do some CSS. I want to show you, we talked a bit about kind of
system preferences, voiceover off.
CSS and screen readers. Yeah, kill voiceover. It's going to be a hassle in VS Code. We've talked a bit about our mental models and our intuitions that doesn't seem like CSS should really be able to impact assistive technology in any way, or at least it shouldn't be able to impact screen readers. But I want to show you I got a few demos that absolutely broke my understanding.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah. So I gave you some code to do, and we've got a few pages in there. I've got like 3 HTML pages that we're going to use. By the way, shout out to Stephanie Eccles, who's been in the chat. I first demoed these demos on her stream a couple weeks ago, and I'm super grateful for that. Yeah.
Let's get this one.
All right.
Let's install the dependencies, and then we'll open this thing right up.
Yep. And for people who are unfamiliar with this repo, I just straight up cloned a base that Jason used a long time ago for a lot of sites. I just wanted to get something quick up and running, just because I wanted something that had looked basically nice, but wasn't overly styled already, just so that we could verify that the stuff that we're doing has impact. So
yes, let's see. We'll do that later. So now in
source, there should be 3 HTML files.
Okay.
All right. And maybe we could just go ahead and pull up in the browser, that first one, the one-hiding.
Yes. Okay. So I guess we'll just run nullify dev on this. That should start it.
Yeah.
That's how I avoid having to remember how to start different frameworks, is I just default to.
Yeah. So half of my projects are npm run dev and the other half are npm start. And this gets me every time. It's like plugging in the USB the right way around. I can't remember whether I'm in a npm run dev or npm start project.
Yeah. Oh no, where am I? Did you not run?
Oh, I think you
Serving
need,
from
because
site?
it's 11D and it's going directly into a directory.
Oh.
So it's one dash hiding no HTML.
There
I
it
had to
is.
sneak in a little bit of 11D here. Okay, so here we've got our first demo page, and it's not the most styled, but you know it's got some stuff, and it's got a table here.
Mhm.
And this is real data, by the way. This comes from WebAIM's Screenreader User Survey. I highly recommend reading through this. The new one's supposed to come out later, like the results are supposed to come out later in the fall, I think.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, Stephanie, I did say 11D. So yeah, this is real data, but we can see that we've got a table here, and this table has, you know, some columns and some rows, you know, as tables do. Oh, Farshid, we're gonna get to that. Don't worry. So yeah, so if you inspect the markup for this table, I put this directly into that HTML file in the 11D project. We'll see a few things.
Okay. So I am inspecting. Here's the HTML.
So I'm using like the full range of semantic markup provided to us by tables, or by HTML for tables. So we've got our table head, we've got a table row with table head, like TH header cells, stuff like that. I actually want to highlight this caption up here because this is a thing that's often missed with tables, is that you can use the caption element. If the caption is the first child of a table, then it provides like an accessible label for the table. So when the user navigates into the table, they'll be told, you know, that this table is the whatever is inside your caption. So when you navigate into this table with VoiceOver, as we'll probably see pretty shortly, we'll be told that this is the comfort with screen reader detection table. And maybe we could go ahead and play around with VoiceOver here, because I don't think we've done tables yet.
Yeah, we haven't. Let's do it. So I'm going to turn this back on and get in here. You going to tell me you're busy again?
Microsoft Edge busy. VoiceOver loading web content.
Whoops. Here we go.
Demo of the demo middle. Learn with Jason. Web content. You are currently on a tab group. Inside of a group. 2x app bar toolbar tab app bar. Demo of the demo middle. Learn with Jason. Item was removed. Demo of the demo middle. Demo of the demo middle. Learn link. Screenreader user survey. Screenreader survey results and text and row 6 of 6% of respondents.
Okay, let's
links
go into the
no items in web spot links window spot articles landmarks menu tables menu landmarks menu.
What have I done?
You are currently in the voice articles menu. Window spots menu.
Oh my gosh.
What have I done?
Links
I'm
menu.
just letting you have fun here.
Visited link. Visited
Yeah,
link. Screenreader user survey number 8. Microsoft Edge has a new window.
Okay, I'm gonna let you tell me what to do. I got lost.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and scroll up to the top, and let's just select a bit of our header up at the top, just so that we can be like before.
How comfortable would you be with allowing web?
All right. And here we're just going to use our virtual cursor, right? Because tables are static elements.
Okay.
So we're just going to
Comfort with screen reader detection.
Right arrow.
And so we can see it was going to say table 3 columns 6 rows.
And just keep going through the virtual cursor.
Response. Column 1 of 3. You are currently on a text element inside of a cell.
Okay. So here's a fun one. Now, because we're in a table and it knows that this is a table, we actually get 2-dimensional navigation. So you can use your virtual cursor with up, down, left, right, and it will go through the table exactly.
Row 2 of 6. Very comfortable. You are currently on a text element inside of a cell. Percent of respondents. 39.2%. Column 3 of 3. You are number of respondents. 471. Column 2 of 3.
The
you
header.
are currently on a text element inside of a cell. Row 3 of 6. Somewhat comfortable. You are currently number of respondents. 280.
That's super handy. Okay.
Yeah. So you constantly, assuming you're using semantic markup, which use semantic markup.
Developer tools, dev tools, web content.
Okay.
Select an element in the less than.
Stop.
Oh gosh, yeah, dev tools and screenreaders, not a match made in heaven. But yeah, so assuming you're using semantic markup, then your table will actually help screenreader users navigate through, and as they go from column to column or row to row, they'll be told like, hey, what changed, right? Like, oh, you're now in the number of respondents column, or you're in row 4 of 6 now, right? And so this is, usually how we navigate tables. That's fine. So the first thing I wanted to show you, because I know we're actually kind of coming up on time here. We haven't done a whole lot of CSS. I wanted to show you if you read through the contents of the page, it's pretty plainly
Developer
clear
tools.
to sighted readers that this table is about comfort with screen reader detection, right? So that caption there for sighted users, I'm going to say it's redundant. We can disagree with that, but for the purposes of today, we're going to declare that it's redundant. That context is made clear by its surroundings. So it's helpful to have
System preferences, voiceover off.
Yeah. As we saw, naming, like providing that caption let us name the table so that screen reader users knew what table they were getting into. But we don't want to show it to sighted users. And instinctively, if you wanted to have that caption in there, but not show it to anyone, what would you do? What styles would you apply?
Maybe I would just say like, no.
Yeah. Let's try it. Let's see. Let's go ahead and turn VoiceOver on and let's navigate back into the table.
VoiceOver on Microsoft Edge. Demo of the demo middle.learn with JSON. Microsoft Edge. Personal window. Demo of the demo middle.learn with JSON. Web content. You are currently on a web demo of the demo middle.learn with JSON.
Will you
How comfortable will you be with allowing web table 3 columns, 6 rows? You are currently in a table. To navigate the cells within this table, response, column 1 of 3.
Dumped it.
You are currently on a text element inside of a cell.
Okay.
System preferences, VoiceOver off.
Yeah.
To toggle VoiceOver, quickly press Touch ID 3 times while holding the Command key.
So I've seen this, and that's totally a thing you can do. I'm terrified to do that on stream because I always feel like I'm going to turn off my computer midstream.
That's also my computer's like way up here, so I have to like reach without hitting my
So we just saw though how just one CSS rule was able to change the screen reader output. So myth proven, right? And it turns out display none isn't the only property that does this. Visibility hidden will also do that same thing, as does setting opacity to 0 or setting width and height to 0. Basically, all the tricks that you can think of to make content invisible, right? Keep it in the markup, but not show it, right? All of these tricks will do this, where it will completely nuke the caption as far as screen readers are concerned. And so this is why, this is why in accessibility circles we kind of pass around like a note being passed around in the back of the classroom, a utility class that's usually called various things. I believe like Bootstrap and I think Tailwind call it SR-only. I tend to call it visually hidden, and I can never remember this off the top of my head. But I usually go to Scott O'Hara's inclusively hidden blog post and just copy and paste it from there. But
let's go inclusively hidden. Here it is.
I just look for it. I think he calls it visually hidden. Yeah, this is such a good article. It tells you all the different ways you might want to hide something and what hiding even really means. And close to the bottom, there's a there we go. This class right here.
This is interesting.
Yeah, so this is helpful because you don't want to hide a link, right? Because a sighted user might still tab. So there's some people will include what are called skip links, which I think you have on Learn with Jason. They'll like to do this thing where it's like it's hidden until you tab to it. But
Does mine do that?
I think so. Probably. Oh, Jason.
It's selected, but I can't see it. So it would work. There it goes. Dang it. I think I did this on Jason AF though.
Okay.
Definitely did not do this on Jason AF.
Okay.
One of my websites has it. I don't remember which one.
putting the call to action in the chat. Someone go put a pull request on Jason's website.
Please.
Yep. Okay. So so we've got those styles in there. And let's I guess did we save?
I didn't put these in yet. So let's drop them in.
There we go.
Okay. And then what I need to do is actually apply this class to my caption.
Yep.
Okay. So that is done. We're going to go back out to here. when I refresh the page, it's gone, right?
Yep.
But now we're going to enable, actually, okay, let's try it. I have to hit Command, go out in the rain, jump up and down 4 times. Let's see, touch ID 3 times while holding the Command key. Here we go. Did it work?
Looks like it did. He'll come
Busy.
up.
Wow.
VoiceOver on Microsoft Edge. Download
Right.
the demo middle.learn with Jason. Microsoft Edge. How C. Selected. You are currently on a comfort with screen reader detection. Table 3 columns, 6 rows.
So
You are
now it's
currently in a
back.
table.
Yeah. So the element is still in there, and it's still providing the table with its accessible name. Screen readers aren't forgetting that this is a thing that exists, but it's hidden from sighted users. And so actually, when we talked about the like episode notes links earlier, I mentioned I had included an extra node inside those links that had the title. That's also visually hidden with the same styles. So that way, the link for sighted users doesn't have the clutter of the title, but the node inside the link still provides the full name of the episode for screen reader users.
And so this is the same thing that we did on the links on the learnwithjason.dev site, where for for a sighted user, there's enough context of like there's this episode, and you've got the titles there, the description's there, and then when it says details, that's a button that'll show you details. But for someone who's like tabbing through links, that's not as useful because it would just say episode details, episode details, episode details. So we added the visually hidden class.
Tabbing through links or using the rotor, right? Yeah. So, this is I guess way number 1 in which CSS can impact screen reader experiences, right? Is we were able to use display none to cause our screen reader to entirely forget that an element existed, which is, I don't know, a bit of chaos. It's frustrating, right? Because display none feels like it should be the magic charm.
It does feel like something that should be like Farshid makes a good point. It is kind of a bummer that this isn't something that you can just do.
Code 1-hiding.html. Learn with Jason Screenreader Experiences. Window 1-hiding.html. Preview. Edit text. Less than. Any HTML we want can go. System preferences. VoiceOver off.
I couldn't turn it off.
So it begs the question of why does display none behave in this way? And this is intentional, right? And it's because, well, actually, do you want to take a guess?
So I'm going to take a guess, which is that in a lot of cases, you do want that content to be invisible. Like if I have an expanded section, when unless you click the see more, you wouldn't want to read it. You would that's an opt-in section of content.
Exactly. Or back in the old days, like display none used to be the efficient way to like toggle whether something was shown or hidden at all, right? And so there's tons of sites out there that, because nowadays we could use like the hidden attribute, right? But there's tons of sites out there that would handle that by toggling display none, right? And when content is hidden using display none, 9 times out of 10, it's because no one was intended to receive that content.
Right.
Sighted users shouldn't get it, but screen reader users totally should. That screen reader case right there is actually considered kind of the edge case in this sense, right?
Right. Well, it makes me want like a visibility screen reader only option. Like that to me seems like it would be a great way to, because that makes sense to me, right? You have a CSS property where you're explicitly saying, I'm using this to create accessible text, but I don't need it to be visually present.
Agree. I'm right there with you. And maybe there's something in the works in the specs for that. I'm not entirely sure, but even if there is, you still have to wait for things to be supported, right?
And what I found, especially when you're talking about specs, is that something that sounds so like, you're like, of course they should do that. But what a simple thing. And then you look at all the downstream effects and how many things on the internet that would break, and all the like the working groups for CSS they do so much work to make sure that we don't accidentally break the internet. So it should not be taken lightly when, if I make a thing like, they should just fix that. Like, don't go talk crap to the CSSWG about this.
And the other thing to note, right, is that, first of all, many screen reader users have very strong feelings about specifically like things that provide like screen reader detection or screen reader like explicit support, because there are worries in the past about, oh, you're going to use this to create a separate but equal quote 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 scenario, right? So that detection is uncomfortable for many.
Sure.
And the other thing is, yes, today is about screen readers. Screen readers are not the only assistive technology, right? In fact, another one that's impacted by a lot of the same stuff is speech control or voice control, where you can tell your computer, click on this link, right? So now we have to consider like, oh, are we hiding things for everyone except screen reader users? Or are we hiding things for everyone except assistive technology users? What are the combinatorics of that, right? Like that's complex, that's hard. So as much as I would love for there to be a like native way to do this with like one attribute or one CSS rule, yeah, there are tons of reasons why that would just be incredibly difficult. Oh no.
I have to do some vocabulary work. Hold, please.
The math behind how many combinations.
My poor computer. Come on, little computer, you can do it. There we go.
Oh, hang on. How do I redeem computer?
Combinations of objects.
Is that it? Is that how I redeem it? No, I don't think that did.
You can do it.
Oh, I did. I did redeem it. I did it. Causing chaos on my own guest stream. Excellent.
I wholly endorse it. I love it. Okay, yeah. So we not only did we learn immediately, like I was like, this would be so simple, and you immediately pointed out why it's not simple. I also got to learn a new word today, so we're batting 1,000, y'all. What's up?
Here we go.
How you feeling, chat? Are you learning things today?
Yeah, actually,
give us a like a what's a it's F in the chat if things go wrong. What's the good thing? What's the good thing in the chat? The W in the chat? Let's get a W in the chat.
And also let me know how you're feeling, because if you're feeling like any sort of emotion over this, like even if that, or especially if that emotion is outrage, I genuinely want to hear it. I think that's part of the story here, right? Is because we are challenging mental models here, challenging our intuitions about how assistive technologies and the web work. And I would like to get that feedback as to like, hang on, is this frightening? Is this frustrating? Like, I want that. So yeah. Thank you, Michael Chan's in the chat providing even more context. That's a good link right there that he's shared. Here
we go.
So tons of good things you can do with this. But the overall, so the principle of how this utility class is working, because there's really two approaches for visually hiding things is that people have used. There's one approach which is like setting left minus 99999 pixels, like setting it very far off screen to the left. Or there's this, which is saying, okay, we're going to make the container that it exists in like far too small, like the window to see this element through far too small to actually see anything. And then we're going to overflow hidden it. And so it is a hack, right? But there are reasons for this hack, is because we don't natively have a way to expose things only to assistive technologies.
And so for someone who is feeling frustrated that this isn't built into the browser, I would encourage you to go look at the CSS spec, because I can almost guarantee somebody's opened this proposal and there's a whole list of all of the considerations, the stuff that Ben was just talking about, and probably a whole bunch of additional things that we have to consider and get right to make sure that we don't accidentally create. I mean, I hadn't even considered that you could use accessibility features as a way to sniff and like separate people into a different internet. That's a terrible outcome.
Yeah.
And so, I hadn't thought about that. And that's a good, there's a thing. My partner, Marissa Morby, has this thing that she says all the time about, you have to design for the asshole. Like you have to, when you create user personas, one of your personas needs to be the asshole. Who's the person who's going to try to use this to do the worst possible thing? And if you're not designing against that use case, you're going to end up in the Facebook scenario where you're standing there going, we had no idea people were going to do this and we don't know how to fix it.
People used our app to be absolutely creepy to people. Who'd have thought? Yeah, Eric Bailey has a version of that concept. He's given a talk called Be the Villain that's pretty excellent on that regard. But it talks about how like one of your personas has to be the person who can and will, like, the vindictive X, right? The like, the just absolutely like terrible people who are going to find a way to use like tools to just absolutely like cause harm. Yeah. So yeah, that's the visually hidden. That's the visually hidden rule. And why it's necessary, why we can't just use something like display none or visibility hidden is because oftentimes those are used to legitimately remove content from everyone's experience.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, yes, this is a hack. It's the best we've got. I highly doubt browsers are going to break this hack anytime soon, though, because that would be super dangerous, right? You'd break accessibility for a lot of things. So this hack is good for the future.
Right. Yeah. So that's always good news. So I think we've got 2 more that we want to get through.
Yeah, I've got a few more pages. Yeah. So let's go to the second page here.
Okay,
I wanted
so
to
we've
talk
got
a bit about lists.
2-list. Let's go take a look at it.
And yes, we're going to actually end up doing a few things in here.
I love that you brought in the sandwich. Yes. Okay. I'm so happy.
I told you I was gonna. I was like in the chat. I'm like, I'm threatening to do this. Also, my button's not the prettiest, but I had very little time to actually put this together. So
this is a perfect button.
Excellent.
This button is perfect just the way it is.
So, all right. So we've got a list here. It's a list of, the eventual menu for Hamstack the Food Truck, the musical. And so
yes.
All right. So we're actually gonna do a few things here. And the first is, I'm gonna be your product owner / your design partner here. And let's see what the experience is first.
Okay. So let me turn it on. Here we go.
Voiceover on Microsoft Edge. Demo of the demo middle. Learn with Ruben on Rails. Selected. You are currently on a text element. List 3 items. You bullet. Ruben on Rails. 1 of 3. Bullet. Toast. 2 of 3. Bullet. Steam YMLs. 3 of 3. You are currently on a text. End of list. Add button. You are currently on a button. To click this button, press add button.
All right. So that's the experience. Pretty straightforward. Some things to call out.
System preference. Voiceover off.
We were told that was a list.
Mm-hmm.
We were told how many items were in the list. So it said list 3 items. And then as we went through, it said bullet, Ruben on Rails, 1 of 3. Bullet, toast, 2 of 3, right? So it told us like how far into the list we were and that this was a list item. Even started it off with bullet. Cool stuff. So I'm going to be your product owner, Jason.
Okay.
And or your design partners or whatever. I'm going to say this is the golden age of minimalism, Jason.
Golden age.
Bullets are so decade. And so we need to, minimalism is in #minimalism. We need to remove the bullets.
Okay, so I remember this is. I didn't realize this was going to be a technical interview. Do you remember how to remove bullets on it? I sure do.
The way I typically do is on the UL proper. I think it works on the LI though. Cool. So then this demo we're actually specifically going to have to do in Safari. And meanwhile, I'm going to find an excellent thread because I'm going to want to put that into the chat very soon. But so.
One of these is Safari. Is this Safari?
Yeah.
That's Safari. Okay, so let me go back here, get this demo link. Let's head over here, drop it in. I'm in.
All right. Would you just kind of plow over that with VoiceOver for me, please?
Yes, I can.
VoiceOver on Safari. S. Selected. You are currently on a text element. Main. You are currently on a Ruben on Rails. You are currently on a text element. Toast.
Oh no.
You are currently on a text element. Steam YMLs. You are currently add button. Steam YMLs.
It lost my list.
Yeah. So we use CSS to make the screen reader entirely forget an element semantics. No big deal.
Oof.
So all right, this is actually intentional, and this is only a thing in WebKit, but I wanted to put a thread in the chat for y'all. So this is intentional. Basically, this
System
is a
preferences,
case of-
Microsoft Edge, Safari,
Stop it.
Microsoft VoiceOver off.
I'm here
This-
getting this link. That's what we're doing.
Yes. So this is an intentional decision that exists inside WebKit. Basically, at one point, developers got tired of being told not to use so many divs, and so many of them started using lists. And that meant that there were lists everywhere, even for things that happen to be next to each other,
Mhm.
right? But we saw how lists can create a bunch of announcements, right? Like you're told how
Right.
many people are in the list, there's extra stuff. So this thread documents WebKit's decision to say, hey, if you specifically style your list so that it doesn't look like a list, i.e. list style none, then as far as Safari is concerned, it's not actually a list. And so we're not going to expose it to assistive technologies as a list.
Okay.
Which, given that it's like intentional, it's weird, it's frustrating. It's like, I feel like this is a moment where I wonder, like, is semantics dead to me? Is semantic markup dead to me? If CSS can just make an element forget that, a list is a list, like that shouldn't be doable, right? Like my HTML says it's a list. Let it be a list.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, here it's totally intentional. If you style your list so that it doesn't look like a bulleted list, Safari will no longer expose it to assistive technologies as a list. And that's fine. This is the intended behavior because consistency across sites on a browser, right, is the kind of accessible, familiar, relatable experience that we're going for, right?
Mhm.
We don't want to hijack stuff that's going to be different on our page versus other pages. We want consistency and user experiences across the other sites that they're going to.
Okay.
If you felt like it was really important that this specifically be announced as a list, you could go to line 19, which has our unordered list, and you could add role equals list. I'm only going to recommend this if you absolutely know that this needs to be announced as a list, because otherwise you're kind of saying, like, I know better than the browser in this case. And I don't know, sometimes as developers, like, we should just let browsers use their heuristics for these things.
And so having done that, if I go back in here, turn this on, come out to Safari.
VoiceOver on system preferences, Safari, demo of the demo middle, on Rails, selected. You are currently on list 3 items. Ruben on Rails, 1 of 3. You are currently on a text element.
So this makes sense. In this instance, like if we were making this is our list of sandwiches or list of food items, because I don't know what you'd put, I don't know, steamed YAMLs on a sandwich doesn't sound.
You just put them between bread. It counts as a sandwich.
but yeah, exactly. I mean, everything's a sandwich, right? But we would want you to know that you are looking at a list of sandwiches so that you could skip it if you wanted to.
Yes, that is a big advantage of like having it be registered as a list. Because right now what it's doing, or I guess rather what it was doing when we didn't have the role equals list, was it was treating it as just a bunch of text nodes. And you're right, that loses the skippability. So treating it as a list lets it treat it as like one big block that the user could totally skip over if they wanted. But also, yeah, just to reiterate, like, I don't think this is something to necessarily like panic about, because it's the browser implementing heuristics based on the browser's own usability testing based on the vast majority of websites out there.
Right. And something that I will point out is that, what we would also be doing as devs writing semantic markup is we would be putting in headings, for example. So if you were looking at this in a more complete site, there would be a like sandwich menu. And then if it doesn't announce it as a list, I have my landmark. I know that I hit that heading and it's a list of sandwiches. I don't care about that. I'm going to skip to the next thing. So you still get skippability. You're not like losing the ability to do that. It reiterates the importance of using that semantic markup, because if I make it a paragraph and I make that paragraph big and bold and use my heading font on it, it looks like a heading to me, but it's not. And so the screen reader won't see it in the rotor.
Exactly.
And so that's like, this is one of the reasons why I'm always like, I actually like to write my HTML with no styles, so that it is like, can I read this as a plain text document? Does it make sense to me? And if so, then I style it up.
Yes.
And that tends to help me a lot with thinking about it, because if it's legible as a plain text document, it's probably legible to a screen reader or to other assistive tech. That's kind of like the heuristic I use in my head. I think that's probably not entirely true, but it's more true than just, hey, let's throw some divs on the page and add CSS until it looks right.
Yes. All right. I think we can get weirder though.
I want to get weirder. This is my favorite time of day.
So,
Whoops. What are you doing?
I didn't know you could resize that.
I didn't either.
Oh.
I thought I was moving it.
Well,
Code 2-list.html. Learn with Safari. System preferences. Voiceover off.
Gentle.
All right. So we've seen how we can use CSS to make an element forget it's that element, which is terrifying. We've been using CSS to make screen readers forget that an element exists altogether. I'd like to now have CSS inject content into the page, and we're going to keep doing this on our second page, the one with the list.
On the list page. All right, I'm ready.
Yeah. So I'd like to start inserting content. Like as your designer, we've done the user feedback, we've done the research, the user testing, we've gotten it. People don't know that the add button is for adding. It would be really helpful if we could add like a little like plus in there at the beginning. So maybe it says like plus add. And so, let's add in a plus. And now as a developer, we recognize that that's probably a very presentational decision. So probably should be handled in the CSS rather than the markup. So with that in mind, how might we go about adding a little plus in there?
So we'll add let's do some content. Whoa, what did I just do? That I don't know if that was autocomplete or if I hit the wrong button, but that got weird in a hurry. Okay, so let's try it like this and see what happens.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that.
So it's added a little plus. We could make the formatting nicer, but now you and I, Jason, you and I are very diligent accessibility testers. And here's the thing, right? This shouldn't have broken anything, right? Pseudo-elements, famously not part of the DOM.
Famously, yes.
Famously. Like that's kind of their deal.
Is this going to upset me?
It might upset you.
Voiceover on Microsoft Edge. Ruben on Rails. Selected. Toast. Steam. End of add button. You are currently on a button. End of list. Add button. You are currently on a button. To click this button, press Safari. Demo of the demo middle dot learn with J. You've been on Rai. Toast. Steam. End of list plus add button.
There we go.
You are currently on a button. To click this button, press Control.
Okay, and we're also seeing inconsistencies. Like this is just like developing for multiple browsers. You have to test it in multiple browsers because it's going to work differently.
Yeah.
Microsoft Edge system preferences. Accept voiceover off.
Was that Safari that we were doing this in?
Safari picked up the plus. Edge did not.
So that's bizarre, right? Like the fact that like we were. I mean, again. We like if our intuition is that screen readers are like reading the DOM or reading the markup, right? Like it never in a million years should it actually have picked up the plus, right? Because plus is that pseudo element is not part of the DOM. It's purely it purely exists as a function of the CSS, and yet we were able to use CSS to inject content into our screen reader announcement. So that's bizarre. But it's a thing to keep in mind. And maybe this isn't the end of the world, or maybe you would take this as a reason to like put a plus SVG in there instead of text.
Yeah, because what we could do is like if how would we do that? Like we could do I just kind of want to think about how we would make this work. If we did it like SVG, is this going to work? Text plus, that's still going to get read, isn't it?
Yes.
So we can't use text. We would actually have to make a plus sign in SVG as like an icon. Okay, so I'm not going to do that, but we'll you know that it would work. Would totally work.
But I'm not confident enough in my SVG skills to just like freestyle that in the middle of a stream. I'm not doing that. But just to call out, like we were able to use CSS to inject content into screen reader announcements, which is very terrifying. And so we kind of talked about like how CSS is sometimes content. And this is a prime example, right? Because our sighted users don't care whether a plus is pseudo content or not, right? Our sighted users don't know, they don't care. But it is part of their experience. That plus is a part of their experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in some cases, the powers that be have decided that that plus constitutes content that needs to be exposed to assistive technology.
And Eco in the chat just gave a good suggestion, which is we could also do span aria hidden equals true.
Yep.
And put our plus here.
Yes. You totally could.
And then we could drop this out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get that. But if I turn on the thingy, which is the official, that's the industry name for it.
Voiceover, Safari, and on Rails, selected, toast, end of, add, button. You are current, end of list, add, button.
Now it works. So,
system preferences, accessibility, voiceover off.
So I just followed that with without a lot of knowledge. So what did we just do? What is an aria? What does that mean?
Excellent. So we are going to dive into this just a little bit later. This concept of the accessibility tree, but just as a preview,
okay.
Your screen reader isn't reading the DOM, nor is it reading the CSS. It's not reading either of those. It's reading an alternate representation of the DOM created by the browser exposed to the operating system. And this is called the accessibility tree.
Got it. Okay.
Would you like to see it?
Yes.
Okay. Let's dive into let's see, one of your Chromium browsers. So if you've got Edge, let's use Edge. And let's go ahead and right click on that button, and we're going to inspect it. So now you see you've got where you've got your styles tab and your computed tab and your layout tab. This is in the pane on the right. There's a whole bunch of other tabs, and at the end there's one called accessibility. And this right here, this is one of the hidden secrets of browser dev tools, is the accessibility tree. So your browser is doing a lot of work to assemble the web page into not just the DOM, but also a version of the DOM that can specifically expose to assistive technologies. And that's this. We are looking at it, and we can see where it's pulling all of this information from. So we can see that this is a button with the name add, and it's getting it from its contents, which are add. But when we use ARIA attributes, there are 30 something, I think it's 31 ARIA attributes. They all have the prefix ARIA. These are a set of HTML attributes that specifically and only curate the accessibility tree. So ARIA hidden true, what we just did is we said this element, don't include it in the accessibility tree at all. So don't expose it to assistive technologies at all.
And that's why that's not here. So if I take this out, then what we should see is that it will have.
Yes.
Let me just delete that. We'll save it here. Let's take a peek. Hey, look at that.
Yep.
And that comes from an inline text box.
And if we went back to using the plus in our pseudo content, we would actually see that the name of the button would still be plus add. At least in browsers that do that, which I believe was Safari. And I don't know that Safari shows the accessibility tree in DevTools at all. But yeah, so that's what's happening there is the browser's thinking oh, I've got the button. What should I name this button? Yeah. And it's a whole algorithm that follows through. It's all spec'd out by W3C. But as part of that algorithm, it's well, hey, are any of do I have any pseudo elements in here? Because that's content that should then probably be exposed to assistive technology users. So yeah, that's what's happening. Your browser looks at that button and it decides, how should I represent this button in a way that screen readers can access programmatically? And then it does that. It compiles that into this accessibility tree. The accessibility tree represents your entire page. And then it exposes that to the operating system.
Nice.
And your screen reader asks the operating system, hey, what accessibility tree should I be looking at? What application should I care about? It gets the browser, and then that's how the screen reader knows what all to announce. Which is, I think, super cool.
That is super cool. And so we've got about 15 minutes left, and I think we've got one more demo to do. So I'm gonna nudge us right on ahead if you don't mind.
All right. Cool. So this right here, this is my favorite demo. It's the weirdest one. let's go ahead and just run over this page with VoiceOver real quick, specifically the table.
Okay, I'm ready.
VoiceOver on Microsoft Edge. Demo of the demo middle. Learn with Jason. Microsoft Edge. Personal window. Tab bar. Tab group.
You good?
Busy. Screenreader. Selected. You are currently on a response. You are currently on a text. How comfortable response. You are currently on a number of response.
Yo, where's my table?
You are currently on a text element.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Let's take a look at the markup. And
System preferences. Visual Studio Code. VoiceOver off.
there we go. So as we look at
That's
the
a
table
table.
markup, it is. It sure is. But we're not using the full-fledged of table markup, right? Like we don't have a table head. We don't have a table body. We don't have a table foot. And also, for the most part, the table is using default styles for the engine.
Yeah.
And so remember how like the browser is spending, like it's using its heuristics to curate the accessibility tree. And this moment it goes, oh, you've got an unstable table. I think chances are good you're using this as a layout table. And,
Interesting. Okay.
and not a data table. And so, layout tables, now that we've got like CSS Grid, we don't tend to use layout tables a whole lot, but this used to be a really common pattern in web dev and, still exists in many legacy sites today, right? Is you could use you shouldn't, but you could use a table to lay out your entire page in a grid-like way.
Okay.
And so the browser is looking at this and going, well, if we think that this is a layout table, then we shouldn't expose it as a table because that's going to make a very clunky experience for screen reader users. So we're just going to treat it as a bunch of text nodes. And weirdly enough, it does this with all the default styles for the table. There's ways we could fix this though. We could improve the markup, but I want to show you my favorite way, which is
Oh no.
Jason. Oh no.
I have fears about what you're about to tell me. Let's do it.
Do you know how to zebra stripe?
I do. Yeah. So if I go to tr nth child odd, is that right? And then we do like a background of, we'll do like a light gray.
All right. Okay. We're good.
I have zebra striped.
You have zebra stripe. You sure have. Let's go ahead and run over this with VoiceOver.
Oh, come on.
VoiceOver on System Preferences. Accessibility window. Accessibility features table. VoiceOver. Selected has keyboard focus. Microsoft Edge Reader. Selected. Table 3 columns, 6 rows.
Come
You are
on.
currently in a table. To make
get
response,
outta here.
column 1 of 3. You are currently on a row 2 of 6. Very comfortable. Row 3 of 6. 280. Column 2 of 3.
Okay. So
You are
it's
currently
still,
on a text element inside.
it's still not as good as our previous table because it's not including like the number of respondents or anything. So, but I am able to navigate it as a table. And this is horrifying because so what I'm getting from this is that the browser devs were like, I don't know, people don't do table markup right. So if they zebra stripe it, it's probably meant to be a table. So treat it like a table.
Yeah. And there's
Oh
a
my
ton of
God.
other heuristics, like
Oh
if
my
you
God.
added borders around the cells. Yeah, I've looked in the source code. Like Chromium has this, Firefox has this, WebKit has this. They all have this. They all have the line of code that's like checking, like, do we think this is zebra striped? Okay, then it's probably a table.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
it's horrifying because
Absolutely cursed. I agree.
yes, it's horrifying because you're using markup, right? You're using a table
Right.
markup. This is table data. Maybe we're not using the full range of table markup available.
System
to us, but,
preferences. VoiceOver off.
like it should be fine. But yeah, no, zebra striping fixes tables. Again, there are other ways to do this. The way I would recommend, semantic markup. Always go to semantic markup.
So let's walk through that real quick. I think that, well, actually,
Sure.
before we do that, we've got like 5 minutes left. Was there anything else you wanted to show, or do you want to fix the markup on this table?
Can I show you one more item of chaos?
Yes, please.
Let's go in Safari, let's go to a website called jason.af.
Oh no. What have I done?
Oh, this is fine. Don't worry about it. You're gonna hate this, but trust me, it's fine. It's fine. I want you to, using the virtual cursor, navigate to the word Langsdorff. And tell me also, how have you capitalized Langsdorff?
VoiceOver on System Preferences. Accessibility.
Great
Safari.
question.
A very Jason Langsdorff website. Powered by Boops. Window. Langstor.
the
Jason
big old
Jason
Langsdorff.
Jason Langsdorff. Clickable.
Oop.
You are
How do I
currently on a
move?
text links menu. Headings
Oh.
menu. Form controls. Headings menu. Heading level 1 3 items. Heading level 1 drawing of 2 arrows. Heading
How do
level
I get
drawing
in
of 2
here?
arrows pointing in a circle change tagline. Button.
Hello?
You are currently on a button. To click this button, press Control
Okay,
Option
what-
Space.
Where
What if
am
you just
I?
select the text Langsdorff?
I'm trying so hard.
Oh God,
What have I done?
what have you done?
I don't know.
Okay,
Did
well,
I somehow make this not clickable? What did I do?
Closing
have
menu.
you done?
Drawing of 2 arrows. Drawing of 2 arrows pointing in a circle change tagline.
Did I
Button.
make this a canvas?
You are currently
What
on a
is it?
button. To click this button, press less than canvas class equals oops style equals height
No.
100% left
Here.
0px position absolute less than span menu 11 items. Break on menu 11 items log element. You are currently on a menu item. To choose this menu item, press Control Details
Oh, geez.
table row 20 of 38
Help.
selected.
Okay,
You are currently on a
Let's-
table. To enter this
Let me-
table, press Control Voiceover off.
there we go. There's another way we could do this, which is we could go back to the second demo page,
Okay.
and I can show you the same effect. So we had this button called Add. What if you just capitalize? I'm going to be the product owner here. What if you just capitalize Add in your styles?
Okay.
So like all caps. Bigger, more impressive.
Bigger, better.
Let's do this with CSS because that's what we're demoing here.
Oh, right. Okay, so text transform uppercase.
Yep.
Oh, computer, don't
Oh,
you
no.
dare.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
All right. So we've previously seen this as like plus add or just simply add, right?
Voiceover on Safari. Demo of the demo middle. Learn with Jason. And on Rails. Selected. Toast. Steam Y. End of list. ADD. Button.
Oh,
You
no.
are currently on a button. To click this button, press Control Option Space.
All right. So first of all, this doesn't happen when you capitalize every word. It only happens for words that your screen reader doesn't recognize or that could conceivably be abbreviations, right? Like
Right, and so ADD is a common acronym.
yeah, attention deficit disorder, right? So
Right.
it's like
Okay.
the screen reader is receiving, thanks to the accessibility tree, the browser's like, you know what? We like the developer capitalized this word. That's part of the content. So I'm going to send screen readers the capitalized word add, right?
Got
The
it.
screen reader receives the letters ADD, and it's now up to it to guess whether the site meant add or attention deficit
System
disorder.
Preferences. Visual Studio Code.
But so if I take
Code.
this, let's
2-list.html. You are currently on a text area. Text transform. Upper. Safari. Demo of the demo. 50% loaded. RU. Selected.
okay.
You are list 3 items. Ruben on Rails. 1 of 3.
So it
You are
doesn't
currently on
do
a
it.
text element.
It doesn't do it for words that aren't common acronyms.
Right. Or if it doesn't recognize the word, then it might be like, well, this is just a really common acronym. And the reason I wanted you to check out JSON AF is because I learned recently the other day that Langsdorff gets picked up as an acronym by screen readers.
Oh,
it's all caps.
interesting.
Like,
That's too bad.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and kind of one of the reasons I wanted to like end on this note, like that's fine, that's fine. It like screen reader users. First of all, there's such a variety of browsers and screen readers out there that you're never going to be able to optimize for all of them.
Mhm.
And also, screen reader users, if they're confused about what it is you're trying to say, they have ways to go back and like read through character by character. We didn't explore those today, but if you're confused about the pronunciation, I said I worked at USAA. Some screen readers pronounce the acronym USAA as USA. But it's fine. If the user's concerned, they can go back and read through character by character, and that's okay. I would liken it to when I'm driving using a GPS. If the GPS somewhat mispronounces a street name, that's not the end of the world. And if these are the tools that you use day in and day out, you're going to be familiar with quirks like this. And so that's
Sure.
fine.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Like I understand the computer, my computer friend, when they tell me how to get places and call a street something hilarious.
Yep. So yeah, this is, I bring this up because I think everything I've shown you today, like it's helpful to understand, but it's also not the thing I want people to like walk away being alarmed about.
Mhm.
Like, oh, CSS is impacting my screen readers. Like, do I need to worry about every line of CSS? Just do thorough testing and don't worry about it. It's, it's fine. Make sure that the content's there that needs to be there. Make sure it's announced, roughly how it should be announced. But I don't know, much like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, don't panic.
Don't panic. I know, I love that. I think, that maybe is the thing that's most important here is that, like any effort is better than no effort. And so your efforts here shouldn't be like, I have to get this perfect or don't bother at all. With accessibility, the point is to do what you can and respond to feedback. If somebody points something out, like when you opened that pull request and said, hey, your episode details need extra text, you were kind enough to open a PR. If you hadn't, I would have opened it myself. And it's a thing we can do to make the experience better for more people. That's the same reason that we have live captioning on the show. It's is this the most accessible show? No, I don't have somebody doing like ASL interpretation. I don't have a whole bunch of other things that I should have for total accessibility. But I'm doing what I can with the budget that's available to me and the scope that's available to me. So it's on us to do as much as we can, but not to panic if we can't do it all. We're not going to be perfect, but we should be better.
So and test as close as possible to the ways your users are actually going to be using them, because people who are blind, low vision, dyslexic, people who use screen readers, they're not hypothetical theoretical.
Microsoft Edge, Safari, system preference, voiceover off.
Did not mean to cut off your points.
No, you're good. Like these are real people who are really using these tools to access your site. Like you're experiencing the world in at least somewhat closer of a way they are, right? So test like a power user of assistive technology, because your users are power users of assistive technologies, and it's on you to understand like what it is they're experiencing.
Yeah. There's a question in the chat about how long these take to upload to YouTube. This will be available on YouTube tomorrow. There's a 24-hour holding period on Twitch. So look forward to tomorrow. If you want to find it, you can go to the learnwithjason.dev site, subscribe on Twitter, and you'll get a notice when it goes live. And with that, I think we are out of time. So Ben, where should someone go? Let me start by kicking everybody back to your Twitter. Make sure you head over to that Twitter and you give a little click to that follow, like smash that subscribe button. Where else should someone go if they want to keep up with this?
I stream about accessibility every week, every Tuesday from 12 to 1 Central, which is in the middle of Learning with Jason usually. But if you're in the mood for some accessibility learnings, why not be a traitor to the cause and join my cause instead? I have the platform. I'm going to use it. But yeah, so I stream about accessibility. It's a lot of fun. And also, I occasionally blog about accessibility over at benmyers.dev. And I would love for if y'all, I don't know why it's not coming up. That's terrifying. I might have broken it. Okay, maybe. My poor browser is trying very hard right now. There we go. It's up. So yeah, I blog about it. I'm working on one about my favorite HTML element, which is the DL element. We got a stampede just in time. That's usually where you can find me. Excellent. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much, as always, for hanging out. We have had Amanda here with us today doing live captioning. She's from White Coat Captioning. And you can always find that on the homepage of the website. Keep in mind that is made possible by our sponsors. We've got Netlify, Fauna, Auth0, and Hasura all kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people. While you're checking out that site, make sure you go and look at the schedule. We have some really good stuff coming on. We've got Sarah Dion coming on to teach us about JavaScript autocomplete. We've got Brian Douglas coming back to teach us about forked PRs and GitHub Actions. Abel Mingitsu is going to teach us about Flutterflow. Blitz.js is coming up. CLIs in Rust. So many good things. And a bunch of stuff that I've been too lazy to put up on the site. So keep your eyes peeled and hit this add on Google Calendar button so that you can see those right in your calendar when they get added. With that, Ben, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. It has been an absolute pleasure. Chat, thank you for having me on. Anytime. I had a blast. Chat, stay tuned. We're going to go find somebody to raid. Maybe. What's going on? Why won't you let me? Hello? Did you forget how everything works? What are you doing, chat? Leave me alone. I don't know what's going on. Maybe we'll find somebody to raid. If we can't find somebody to raid, I know what I did. Yeah, there it is. All right, let's go find somebody to raid. Thank you all very much, and we will see you next time.